Hi, this is Stephen Wilson, and you're listening to That Drummer Guy. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, this is That Drummer Guy, Josh Ronquist, and it is my honor to be here with one of my personal heroes, Mr. Stephen Wilson, who will be playing here tonight at the Fine Line Music Cafe in Minneapolis. How are you doing tonight?
Very good, thank you.
Just like I was saying before we started recording, it's been a while since you've been here. Right around 2005, I believe was the last time you were here.
Right, I wasn't sure exactly when I'd been here last, but it seems like it must be a very long time ago. Yeah, so that sounds about right. 2005. Yeah.
So how has the tour currently been?
It's been terrific. You know, I mean, we've been playing most of the new records, The Raven That Refused to Sing. So the show is quite different to the last time we went out to play my solo material. And this album seems to be, for whatever reason, seems to be probably the best received of my entire career in terms of general kind of feedback and reviews. So that's obviously been a wonderful kind of platform to launch the touring. And we've been, seeing much bigger audiences, and that's always gratifying. So far, fabulous.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too, because it is well deserved, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah.
My personal favorite has been the pin drop. I've been playing that on my show a lot, and it's been getting a lot of good recognition.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I noticed right before the tour that Marco Miniman rejoined the tour. How did that come about?
Not before the tour, actually. After two shows.
After two shows. Okay.
We had a new drummer, Chad Wackerman, who did the first two shows with us, and then had to go back home urgently for very personal family reasons. So luckily, Marco hadn't started his next. He has a new tour starting in a few weeks. In fact, next week he starts his next tour. So Marco's been filling in for us while Chad sorts out his stuff at home, and he's going to be rejoining us in LA next week.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm glad to see Marco a part of this tour, and of course Chad filling in before and after.
They're both extraordinary drummers. Yeah, I mean they're both very different. But Marco obviously is the guy that's on the record and recorded the album. So in some ways, I'm happy if he can do as much as he can. That's the best.
Oh yeah, so you can replicate the album as close as possible. That
Exactly.
way. So how do you feel about this current touring lineup that you have?
I think it's the best band I've ever played with, and I think just taking me out of the equation, because I don't want this to sound arrogant or anything, take me out of the equation, this is the best band out there right now, period. And I say that's not me being arrogant, because if you take me out of it, those five guys, they're the best band out there.
Oh, absolutely. When I first heard about the lineup, it's like I was really hoping this was going to be coming to Minnesota this time around, and
right.
I'm so glad that I was able to.
Right.
So what led you to doing the longer show and not having an opening band this time around?
Well, I've always liked this idea of a concert being an immersive experience, and the tradition, there are many traditions associated with live performance that I think just kind of prevail because everyone does what everyone else does, and no one questions it sometimes, Why do you need an opening act? Why? Most people come to a show, the opening act is with respect to the opening act, and I've been the opening act, so I know. It's just annoying. You don't want to see an opening act, and you just want to see the main act, and it just kind of hurts your ears and it tires you out, and then the main band come on and your ears have already been pummeled for 40 minutes. And I think sometimes it's interesting to question these kind of conventions, and that was one of the conventions. Why do we have an opening act? Why do we need an opening act? And I thought it would be much nicer to have the audience arrive in the venue and to already be kind of entering into some kind of atmosphere. So when you come into the show tonight, there's already some film and there's some audio happening, which makes use of the quadraphonic sound system. So there is already a sense that the moment you walk into the venue, there's already a sense you're a part of something. And similarly, at the end of the show, when the band leave the stage, there's also something visually and audio happening after the show. So that idea that you are, from the moment you walk into the venue to the moment you leave the venue, you're entering into my world. And you're not going to get some crummy rock disco, and you're not going to get some opening band that you really don't like and you're not interested in. And that was something that I felt very strongly I wanted to do for a long time, and of course now having my solo career, I'm able to do a lot of things that perhaps I wasn't able to do before because I'm calling all the shots. And this was one of the experiments. Let's try this. Let's try not having an opening act. Let's just try having an audio-visual experience from the beginning of the evening to the end of the evening. And it seems to be working pretty well.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that too. I mean, that does definitely sound like a kind of concept that I would definitely be interested in. So, what have been some of your favorite songs to play live?
Wow. Well, the new album is a lot of fun to play live, because we pretty much recorded it live in the studio anyway, and so it lends itself pretty well to live performance, with the exception there's a lot of vocal overdubs in the studio, which we have to rely on backing tracks live. But a song called The Watchmaker is a lot of fun to play live. Luminol is a lot of fun to play live. Holy Drink is a lot of fun to play live. My favourite song to play live is this song called Index, which is on my last record. And you'll see why tonight. It's a very visual experience, and I always enjoy playing that song live. Harmony Korine is a lot of fun to play. Raider 2, which is this very long piece off my last record. You know what? They're all fun. They're all a lot of fun to play live. The ones that aren't so much fun to play live usually end up, getting retired after a few shows, and you find other things to do. But so far, I have to say, none of the songs from the new record have felt cumbersome to play live, and we're still enjoying playing them live. And the material from the previous albums that we're still playing live are the ones that we really like to play. So it makes sense that the whole show right now is a lot of fun.
Oh, very cool. So what has been some current new music that you've been discovering, that you've been listening to?
New music? You mean new music?
Well,
or
new discoveries?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of new music around that really has blown me away recently. If you're talking about the last year or two, for example, I mean, I loved the new Marillion album. I thought that was a great record.
Fantastic album.
Really good record. I'm really into this American singer from the 60s and 70s called Lee Hazelwood. You know Lee Hazelwood?
I actually do, yes.
I just discovered his stuff now. So I'm buying everything I can. Lee Hazelwood. Luckily, there's a label in Seattle called Light in the Attic that are reissuing it all on vinyl, so I'm picking all that stuff up.
Oh, very nice.
So I'm really into his stuff. There's a couple of things anyway.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So what are your plans after this American tour?
Well, we're doing festivals over the summer, and we're doing a few odd shows here and there. We're going to Italy over the summer to do some more shows there. But generally speaking, the summer for me is time off. Mm-hmm. I've got some work to do in the studio, mainly to do with remixing classic albums into surround sound, which is something I also do a lot of these days. And then we start touring again in September, and that runs right through to December. We're doing Japan, Australia, maybe America again, we'll see Europe again. So really this year for me is already pretty much committed to this, touring this record. There's not a lot else of time, there's not a lot of other time I have to do other stuff. So right now I'm not thinking beyond that too much.
Okay. Oh, very cool. You said that you'd be remixing classic albums. Is there any that you can give away which ones you're doing?
I can't really. I can't really announce things before the labels and the bands themselves do. I mean, there's stuff that's already been announced that hasn't come out yet. I've done an album for XTC called None Such, which is coming out. I've done 2 more Jethro Tull albums. I've already released 2 came out the last 2 years. Done 2 more for Jethro Tull. 2 more King Crimson albums are yet to come out. So there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's already kind of... Hawkwind album's coming out in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of stuff that's been done over the last couple of years that's gradually coming out. But I have a big catalogue I've started working on, shall we say, of a similar vintage that I can't talk about yet, but it's very exciting. And you'll hear about it soon, I'm sure.
Oh yes, and I'll definitely be looking forward to that. It might be too soon to ask, but has there been any new material or leftover material that you'd like to get recorded once the touring cycle dies down?
Well, actually, there is material left over from the album sessions,
yes.
And I think I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do. I'm thinking of maybe some kind of video EP, because a lot of people are asking where they can get the video to The Raven That Refused to Sing in high definition. And also we're doing a new video for the song Drive Home now. So I'm thinking maybe some kind of video EP and include the videos and also some of the songs that were left over from the album sessions, make a really nice kind of like companion release to The Raven Refused to Sing, and maybe have that out in time for the second leg of the tour in the late summer. So that's certainly the case, that there is a lot of material. Well, not a lot, but there's a few things left over.
Oh, very cool. And besides that, is there anything else beyond that, like maybe a new Frame of Mind or anything for future releases?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's I have all these different bands that I could make records with. I'd love to make a new record with No Man, for example. We haven't made one since 2008. I always enjoy working with Blackfield, with Aviv on Blackfield material. I'd love to do another record with my friend Michael. We did a record called Storm Corrosion last year, which we're both very proud of. I'd love to do another record with him, and I know he would like to too. You know what? It's one of those things that I don't want to think too much about it. Because it's always the case that something comes along that maybe some opportunity will come along to do some film soundtrack, which for me is kind of top of the list of unfulfilled dreams or ambitions, is to work with a great director on an interesting script and actually score a movie. So I'm still not ruling that out as a possibility. This could be my next project, to do a film. I would love to.
I would absolutely love to hear your spin on soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, people talk about my music a lot. People talk about, including myself, talk about my music in kind of visual terms quite a lot, cinematic, and of course there's a lot of visuals in the show. So I think it's a logical kind of next step, is to actually do the sound design and the soundtracking for a movie. But it's a difficult world to get into. There are only so many opportunities. There are only so many interesting films and directors out there. So, but I'm keep my fingers crossed now.
Definitely hope it happens at one point in time. I noticed that you also talked about Storm Corrosion. Is there a chance at all, maybe like a one-off show of maybe doing Storm Corrosion live?
There's always a chance. I think it's extremely unlikely, for the simple reason that it would be very hard to replicate that music live without, I would think, at least some orchestral musicians, probably quite a lot of them as well, and several guitar players, percussion. I don't know what kind of musical lineup we would need, but I imagine it would be quite a lot of people. It would take an awful lot of rehearsal and preparation, and to do all that for the sake of one show would be, well, financial suicide for a start.
True.
So I think if we were going to do it, we'd do it on the basis that we were going to do more than one show, like a string of shows. But right now, I know Michael is tied up with his touring. I'm tied up with my touring. It would be a big commitment in terms of time and energy and money and finances, and so I think it's unlikely to happen. You know what? It's probably more likely to happen after we've done a second record. If we do a second record, then we will have enough repertoire to consider doing a full-length show, and that might be the time to consider it. Yeah.
Very cool. That was the kind of answer I was hoping for, because it would be great to see like a full set of Storm Corrosion if the atmosphere and chemistry was right for everything.
It would be tough to do live. It's very fragile music, by which I mean that it's not a rock show. It would be more like a sort of chamber concert show, because we're talking about a lot of acoustic instruments, orchestral instruments, woodwinds. It would be great if we could pull it off, but it would be a lot of hard work to set it up.
Very understandable. Just to wrap things up here, I know you're going to be hitting the stage in just a couple hours. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up that I've not brought up yet?
Wow. There's a lot to talk about, but nothing specific. No, I'm looking forward to playing here again tonight for the first time with my solo show. It's a very exciting show. I hope people here will dig it, and enjoy.
All right, awesome. And once again, I just got to say it again, it is a complete honor to meet you and be able to do this interview, and it's my first time going to be able to see you live, and I'm glad it could be in this setting.
Thank you very much. Nice to speak to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for the support.
All right. And once again, this has been Mr. Stephen Wilson, and this is That Drummer Guy, Josh Ronquist. Thank you.
Hi, this is Stephen Wilson, and you're listening to That Drummer Guy. Enjoy.